the LA Sparks ownership just made a move to potentially bring in Caitlin Clark, White Indiana Fever, Kelly Crosskoff, Amber Cox, Lynn Dunn. Count your days. The GOAT is gonna get the hell away from you very, very soon.
Caitlin Clark. Just that name changed everything for the Indiana Fever. She's the most watched player women's basketball has ever seen. In 2026, she's putting up 21.2 points a night. Before she showed up, TV ratings for the WNBA were nothing like this. She blew the numbers wide open. And that Fever team? Nobody was talking about them before. Now they're the hottest story in the whole league.
And we've already been informed she is on minutes restriction yet again. She will be playing 20 to 25 minutes yet again. Stephanie White is going to fuck with her rhythm.
And here's the problem. The coach running that franchise isn't building her team around Clark. Not even close. She doesn't give her the support a superstar like this needs. She pulls her at the worst possible moments. She's boxed her into a system built for someone else entirely. And now that the LA Sparks have made it obvious they want her, now that a fresh, powerful ownership group out west is stacking real pieces around her, Stephanie White is standing in the way.
Is that Stephanie White is keeping it her big plan to keep Caitlin Clark on these minute restrictions. Now, we know before last game, Aaliyah Boston did not play. Aaliyah Boston came into this game versus the Phoenix Mercury, played 38 damn minutes. She did not play 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there, pull her out, completely killed her rhythm. Whatever the case is, it's clear to me, and it should be clear to you, that Stephanie White has a clear agenda against Caitlin Clark. She do not want to let her get in the rhythm. She do not want her to be herself.
Here's the wild part. Indiana isn't even fighting to keep her out of love. They just refuse to let go. So Clark sits there, boxed in, pouring her prime into a team that might not be her forever home. Meanwhile, LA isn't going anywhere. They're watching. They're patient. And they're ready to pounce the second that door cracks open.
Been being laid. I don't know. I tried to tell you guys, okay? I tried to tell y'all Michael Thompson, Laker legend, wasn't just saying things just to be saying things. He has intel on what the hell is going on in LA, and especially with this new ownership group, who is the same ownership group that have made big moves for the Lakers. They're looking to make a major splash with the Sparks.
Now, before we dive into the drama, let's talk about who the Sparks really are these days. Forget the last 10 years. This isn't some sleepy, forgettable franchise anymore. The ownership group is led by Mark Walter. And yeah, that name should ring a bell. He just took over as the controlling owner of the Lakers, a deal the NBA officially approved back in late 2025. Oh, and he also owns the Dodgers. His day job? Running Guggenheim Partners, a firm managing over $340 billion. This isn't some rich guy dabbling for fun. This is a serial winner. The Dodgers keep chasing titles. The Lakers are the Lakers. And now, the Sparks are his next build.
Guys, right now, if you don't think the LA Sparks got something cooking, you're damn crazy. You're crazy. And if you ain't following the news, you better get to connecting the dots. Now,
What if the biggest star in women's basketball is already planning her exit, and nobody in Indiana wants to say it out loud? Because here's the truth nobody's talking about. Los Angeles isn't hoping to land Caitlin Clark someday. They're already building for her. Right now, before she's even signed a single piece of paper. Let's start with who's actually running this operation. Mark Walter isn't just some rich guy who bought a basketball team. This is the same man behind the Dodgers empire. And sitting right next to him in the ownership chair is Magic Johnson, a guy whose entire identity in Los Angeles is built on championships, not participation trophies. When these two men build something, they don't build it to be average. They build it to be the biggest story in the sport. And right now, the biggest story in women's basketball wears number 22 for Indiana. Opposing coaches already talk about her like she's a different species. They say the moment the ball crosses half court with her holding it, you're already in trouble. It doesn't matter if she hasn't stepped on a certain court in 2 years. Her scoring is a threat, sure, but her passing might be even scarier. Coaches say you can't assign one defender to her. It has to be all 5 players, heads on a swivel, every single possession. Now here's where it gets interesting. The person Walter and Magic hired to build this roster is Lynn Roberts, a coach who spent nearly a decade turning Utah into a tournament regular. This isn't someone learning on the job. This is someone who walked in the door already making aggressive moves that all seem to be pointing in one direction. Because last month, the Sparks signed Kate Martin. And if that name doesn't mean much to you, let it sink in for a second. Kate Martin was Caitlin Clark's college teammate at Iowa. She was right there for that historic tournament run that changed women's basketball forever. She's not just a good role player. She's someone who understands exactly how Clark thinks on the court without needing it explained to her. Teams don't sign a player's college best friend in the middle of a season for no reason. That's a signal. That's a message being sent loud and clear. And it doesn't stop there. They also brought in Kelsey Plum, a proven scorer who knows exactly how to play next to a guard who dominates the ball. This isn't a team collecting names for the sake of it. This is a front office assembling pieces around a player they don't even have yet. Add in the fact that Clark already has history with Cameron Brink going back to their Team USA days as teenagers, and the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Every single move the Sparks have made recently seems to be laying groundwork for one specific arrival. Now let's flip over to Indiana, because this is where the story gets uncomfortable. Look at what Clark is doing on the court right now. She's averaging over 21 points a game in 2026, a career high in her 3rd professional season. She just picked up MVP honors at a major international qualifying tournament earlier this year. One nationally televised Fever game pulled in over 2.5 million viewers, making it the most watched WNBA broadcast of the entire season, and one of the highest-rated women's basketball games in more than 2 decades. So ask yourself, is Indiana treating her like the centerpiece of their franchise, or like just another piece on the roster? Based on everything that's happened this season, the honest answer isn't comfortable at all. Take the game where fans watched Clark get pulled in the first quarter during a lopsided loss. During a timeout, cameras caught her in a visibly tense exchange with her own head coach, standing up, shaking her head, clearly not on the same page. The explanation afterward was that it was simply a planned minutes restriction. But when your plan leads to a 16-point blowout right after removing your best offensive weapon, that's not a small detail. That's a plan that needs rethinking. Both sides told reporters afterward that everything was fine, that there was no real issue. Maybe that's true. But the moment happened on live television in front of the whole country, and no amount of damage control erases what everyone already watched with their own eyes. Then there's the bigger, more uncomfortable pattern. When asked directly about frustrated fans who just want to see Clark get the ball more, her own head coach basically said she doesn't answer to fans. She answers to the front office and the franchise, and the goal is winning games, not pleasing the crowd. Sounds reasonable on the surface. Except there's a growing belief among people close to the organization that the offense isn't actually being built around Clark's game at all. Fans have pointed this out for months. Instead of building an up-tempo system designed around their franchise player, the coaching staff appears to be shaping the team around a completely different style. That's not some random internet theory. That's a documented pattern. Compare that to Los Angeles, where the entire front office philosophy is the opposite. They want a guard who controls tempo and creates for others to be the system. They want the whole offense running through her. They're not hiding it. And then things got physical and ugly. During one game against Phoenix, a defender's closed fist connected directly with Clark's throat during a scramble for a loose ball. The player who did it got up, looked down at Clark on the floor, and stepped over her like nothing happened. Officials missed it completely in real time. Her own coach later called the missed call egregious. The punishment for a closed fist hit to the throat of the league's most visible player. A single game suspension. Clark ended up missing additional games afterward with a back injury aggravated in that exact same play. A 24-year-old sidelined not because of bad luck, but because a violent hit only drew a slap on the wrist instead of a serious response. It escalated well beyond basketball after that. A group of federal lawmakers actually sent a formal letter to the league commissioner, describing Clark as the face of the league and pointing to a pattern of physical hostility they say has gone unchecked. Hip checks, eye pokes, and that throat hit specifically named as examples. They even raised the possibility of federal civil rights involvement if the pattern continues. and gave the league a hard deadline to respond. Let that sink in. Members of Congress writing directly to a professional sports commissioner about how one single player is being treated on the court. That's not normal. That's not something that happens to just anybody. When Clark finally returned from that injury, she stood in front of cameras and said, plainly, that the league needs to do a better job protecting its players and that officiating has to improve. She didn't just advocate for herself either. She spoke up for other players dealing with harassment in the aftermath of everything going on. Professional, measured, never once threw her own coach or organization under the bus. But here's the thing about optics. You don't need someone to say it out loud for everyone watching to notice the pattern. Now look at the business side, because the contract details matter here too. Indiana already locked in a team option on Clark for next season at a relatively modest salary. The year after that, she becomes a restricted free agent. Restricted means Indiana gets a chance to match any offer that comes in, but it doesn't mean other teams can't make one. If Clark wins MVP this season, she becomes eligible for a significantly higher max salary the following year, and an even bigger number the year after that. But here's the catch. Even at those higher numbers, it's still nowhere close to her actual market value given the television ratings and cultural impact she brings to the sport. And here's what really matters. Indiana can match a dollar figure on paper. What they cannot match is what Los Angeles actually represents. Star treatment, organizational infrastructure, a roster literally being built in real time around exactly the kind of player she is. Clark has been careful through all of this. She hasn't called anyone out by name. She's defended her coach publicly every single time reporters have pushed her on it. But she's not naive, and she's clearly paying attention. She's watched her own college best friend get signed by a team across the country. She's watched a proven scorer get brought in specifically to complement a ball-dominant guard. She's watched an entire front office build a philosophy around being the exact opposite of what she's currently experiencing. You can lock someone's signature onto a contract. You cannot lock their mind in place. And right now, all the evidence suggests Caitlin Clark's mind might already be somewhere out west, watching every single move Los Angeles makes, while Indiana keeps insisting everything is fine. Because if there's one thing history has taught us about ownership groups this ambitious, this well-resourced, and this determined, they don't lose these kinds of races. And if Indiana doesn't figure that out soon, they may wake up one day and realize the biggest story in their sport already packed its bags. So here's the real question for you. Do you think Indiana can turn this around before it's too late? Or has this race already been decided? Drop your take in the comments. Share this with someone who needs to see it, and stick around, because this story is far from over.